Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is non-typical time for me to be doing Psalms for Saturday. Typically, I do them first thing in the morning, but I couldn't escape doing Psalms for Saturday today. Now, I have an anniversary supper coming up, anniversary dinner coming up, and so I will get to that in just a little bit, but I wanted to stop and do this. Now, we, let me we'll save the psalm for the end. But in looking for some hymns to sing, I found, well, I didn't find this, I've had this for a while, this Christian Endeavor edition of the Gospel Hymnal put out by Ira Sankey, James McGranahan, and George Steubens. And let me share the screen just so I can show you a few things in no specific order. This is Ira Sankey. Ira Sankey was the music minister for Dwight Lyman Moody, the great evangelist, and greatly used of God in the area of music, in the area of just getting out the message of the gospel through music. And this was something that he worked on. Interesting, there are some hymns in here that you would know, but apparently Gospel Hymns number 6 had a few different editions, and this is the Christian Endeavor edition. And I began to think about, well, I began to wonder what was the Christian Endeavor, and this is, you'll see right here, this is the Williston Church Parsonage in Portland, Maine. Oh, I lost it. Let me see if I can get back to it. I was trying to zoom in, as you could tell, and in so doing, I lost my place. But Williston Church was the home of the first Christian Endeavor Society. There it is again. Williston Church Parsonage, Portland, Maine. Now, this was a congregational church, so I suppose these were congregational hymnals. But the Congregationalists, they were certainly back in the 1850s when this happened, they were certainly preaching the gospel, and they were caught up in the kind of in between, in the 1850s, in between the Second Great Awakening and then the Layman's Awakening, often called the Third Great Awakening later on. But this little book comes directly from that time period, probably post-Civil War. But the Christian Endeavor Society, which was the youth society for the Congregationalists that began in Portland, Maine. Isn't that interesting? Just Maine's connection to something that caused, that came to be used greatly of God all across America. And one of the books, or one of the, this is the church. Some of you might recognize the church from in Portland. Those of you who are more well versed in the lay of the land in Portland, I didn't take time to go and find where it was, but that's where the Christian Endeavor first started as a youth movement within that in-between period between the Second Great Awakening. But they gathered together and they said, we need to do something for the Lord. Well, back here, there's a guy by the name of Daniel Webster Whittle, Whittle, and he wrote one of my favorite hymns. But this is the story of where that hymn came from. Where is, oh, there it is. The hymn is, I Know Whom I Have Believed. Daniel Webster Whittle was born on November 22nd, 1840 in Chicopee Falls, Massachusetts. Now that's just north of Springfield, Massachusetts. He was named for the politician and founder of the Webster Dictionary, Daniel Webster. Whittle was very religious as a young man and worked as a cashier for Wells Fargo Bank. In 1861, he joined the Army with the rank of second lieutenant. The night before leaving for war, he married Abby Hansen. In his own words, he tells of his departure. My dear mother was a devout Christian and parted from me with many a tear and followed me with many a prayer. She had placed a New Testament in a pocket of the haversack that she'd arranged for me. He rose to the rank of major, lost an arm in the war, and became a prisoner of war. While a POW, he began to use that Bible that his mother had given him and to read through the scriptures. While a POW, a nurse begged Major Whittle to go and pray with the boy that was dying, and the nurse admitted to be touched by watching Whittle read the scriptures and not cuss. The nurse admitted that he was a wicked man, to which Whittle replied, he was also wicked. Here in Major Whittle's own words is what took place on that night. I dropped on my knees and held the boy's hand in mine. In a few broken words, I confessed my sins and asked Christ to forgive me. I believed right there that he did forgive me. I then prayed earnestly for the boy. He became quiet and pressed my hand as I prayed and pleaded God's promises. When I arose from my knees, he was dead. A look of peace had come over his troubled face, and I cannot but believe that the God who used him to bring me to the Savior used me to lead him to trust Christ's precious blood and find pardon. I hope to meet him in heaven. 10 years later, Dwight, it should be L. Moody, encouraged Major Whittle to enter evangelism. James McGranahan put music to many of Major Whittle's hymns, including I Know Whom I Have Believed. The chorus of the hymn is based on 2 Timothy 1:12, for I know whom I have believed and am persuaded that he is able to keep that which I have committed unto him against that day. I Know Whom I Have Believed was originally published in 1883 in Gospel Hymns number 4, so 2 editions before Gospel Hymns number 6, obviously. Major Whittle died on March 4th, 1901, having written over 200 hymns. I Know Whom I Have Believed is one of Major Whittle's best known hymns, along with There Shall Be Showers of Blessing. Major Whittle also wrote under the pseudonym L. Nathan, Elias Nathan, and W.W.D. It's just such an interesting thing when we stop and realize how many different individuals God used all along the way. Today is my anniversary, 28 years. On this, the 23rd of May. And how could you come to Psalms for Saturday and not read the psalm for the day? Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anointeth my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. During these strange days, isn't it great to know we have a shepherd? Isn't it great to know that we have a shepherd who is watching over us? That last phrase, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. All the days of your life were known to the Lord before you were born, including this one. Blessings on you, and we look forward to seeing you in church online tomorrow, and probably some announcements coming up about how that's all going to go in the days and weeks to come. Lord bless you. Remember, he is your shepherd.